word I'm looking for here. I didn't go to some other events today because it was really busy. All right, I am live. Welcome to Vlog Thursday, episode 134? 134 episodes. Wow. That's interesting. Figured I'd do it one in here because I didn't feel like sitting up in there. And we're going to talk about some of the stuff I'm playing with here. So let's do this, though. This is what I wanted. I may mute this because we don't need the sound from this. But let's drag this down a little bit. I wanted to see play. Come on. I'm going to upload this to Twitter. I'm going to show you what I goof off and do when I'm and how I create stuff sometimes. So we were excited to watch this stack light up, and you'll see why in a second here. I just got to find the clip. There we go. That's oddly satisfying. So that's the part I'm looking for. From right there, drag this in. This is Caden Live. For those of you that don't know or have never watched me edit before, this is what I do, is edit stuff like this. All right. And we'll just fade it out. And then we'll hit render, and we'll hit here, and we'll say, all right, what are we going to call this? UniFi boot. Now, this is obviously a short video, but one of the other things I'm doing here is, before I click render, let's open up another window. Drag this over here. It'll hit render. Watch the processors go. Look at all them processors. And watch the render time. So this is what it looks like when you're rendering on a 3900X. By the way, the computer's completely responsive and working, and we just finished rendering. Granted, it's only a smaller 1080 file, not that big, but 16 seconds to render. So yes, all those are PoE. That's actually what made this video interesting. So now we're going to go pull up the rendered video over here and play it for you guys. This is what I was actually playing with. I like the lights. Watch how they chase. It's like Christmas. They run through there, they run through the chase, and then they all light up and everything starts working. And that's it. Oh, and then they're all blue. That's the boot up process. There we go. And I don't like the way it fades, so I'll actually get rid of the fade. Now, actually, once it's booted up at the end, who cares? So I'm going to purge it. Make it shorter. Render. Yes. Oh, I just like seeing those processors go up. And of course, I already know when I built this, people were going to talk about, hey, that someone actually said, I think there's at least one person, maybe they deleted their comment, but they were like, oh no, that Evo 212 can't handle that 3900X. Can you guys hear this? The lack of noise out of my computer while I'm rendering videos, running a live stream, way too many tabs open over here because I got 3 screens. That's why I'm pointing off screen for this. So yeah, no problem. Not a problem. So it works great. Are you able to have the ubiquity in a switch stack like the Cisco works? You can do failover in them, yes, if that's what you're asking. So hello from Texas. We got people from all over the place. Actually, speaking of Texas, hey, Texas, that's where all these are going, by the way. So we're in Detroit. We're shipping these to Texas for a client. That is actually the destination where all these will end up. So hi from Texas, and these will be somewhere within your state next week being installed. And if you're wondering why there's 2, count them, 1, 2, NetGate sitting at the top, that is because the NetGates are in failover. That is also why there are 2 network cables coming to switch ports over here from the NetGate. So maybe I will, if I have time before I ship, this has to get shipped out tomorrow, but if I have time, I'll do a quick rundown video of what all this is. But it's just a standard build out network stack. I'm gonna close this, don't need it open anymore. Actually, we're gonna change my view Back to the 3-monitor layout. Quit. No. There we go. So this is like the wide angle, what it looks like in the office with all the switches booting up. So I could do rundowns. There's plenty of pictures, and I'm kind of go over and over right now if you want to know what it looks like. So let me open up each one of the stacks. So this is at least something I figured. I just finished this. This is why I was so late. I was out of the office. I had meetings, and because of that, I didn't have time to finish this, and neither did any of my staff. Like, all my staff are out doing billable hours. So everyone was out doing stuff, and no one really had time to finish this until last night, well, tonight, and so we just got it all done. So this is the bottom switch. And if we go over here to status, failover, it is in backup mode, and we go here to status, failover, it is in master mode. So now this is the primary switch, and I've done a whole video on how HA works inside of here, and this client wants HA. I still have to build out the WAN side of the HA, but I always build that last because I'm doing this through the WAN interface. And this is going to be all the internal assignments. Here's all the UniFi devices that are plugged into it. And I've talked about how I do these deployments. They're all labeled incrementally because they're third, fourth, fifth, and we just kind of go when we do there. But later the client will rename them. So there's a piece of tape on them. You know, you don't have to go rocket science on this. There's a piece of tape on each one, and so whoever the installer is, they should be marking it. When we're the installer, this is how we do it. We will write on the map, the layout map of where we install them. You know, 5, and next to it we'll have a line, and it'll say like 5th floor hallway, whatever that location is, and we'll circle it and mark it, and then that's how the maps get all updated inside of here. So it's pretty straightforward the way the whole system works. Oh, someone asked, what distro am I using? Pop! OS. As a matter of fact, let's talk about that real quick, because this is also, there's someone, I can't remember the person's name. They have weird comments. They're like, well, I can't switch to a Ryzen yet with Linux because not everything is supported. And I said, you know, well, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but whatever. It clearly works perfectly fine. And the kernel updates are coming fast and furious. So it's just a matter of getting these processors in the hands of the kernel developers and them, you know, enhancing it. It works fine. Maybe there's more optimizations. Well, maybe there are always more optimizations to be had. So this is Pop! OS 1804 with my Ryzen 3900X and my crappy GTX 760 GeForce card because I don't game, and it does have 32 gigs of RAM in this thing. Let's see what else we got here, but how does all this magic work? This is actually kind of interesting when you're building these out, because these are, I'll pull them up real quick. So these are the XG7100s, and a little bit about these. I've done a video on it, and I covered this in my review of them. They have a slightly unique system because of the split devices. So actually, if we go over here, is it our system under ports? So you have these different ports on here, like these split uplink port. I call them split. I don't know the better term for it, but it's Ethernet 2500 base, 2500 base, and they need to have a specific VLAN ID for them to work, because these merge together and create the ports that are the physical switch ports. These don't physically exist on the external side, they're only internal. So when you're building them out, you have to create all these different tagged ports. I have a whole video where I explain this. It's also explained within the XG-7100 switch ports. They have the more detailed explanation right in here of exactly how these work and how you have the lag ports and things like that. But it's an important aspect when you're setting these up, because you have to make sure you tag all the VLANs in here to build this. But like I said, I may do a real rundown for the, you know, what we built out for this client. It's all in this pretty basic mode, because once it gets installed, then we'll finish off all the details based on the client request. They had a real basic of just open it up essentially between a couple networks they have set up. But someone had asked about the entire overall process for how this works. So, leads, how does a lead come in? So it comes in, these people found us from YouTube. So hello, all my friends on YouTube here. So when you fill out the lead, you fill out the contact form, we evaluate. They paid me for consultation time to help design what they wanted to go across their buildings. One large building, and they're going to have fiber runs. They have another installer for that. They wanted redundant firewalls, and they wanted redundant LAN failover. And there's going to be some details that they haven't worked out yet, but we can completely do it remotely in post after it's installed, for how they want exactly some of the guests to be on failover and some of them not to be. There's a few other details that we talked about. We haven't put that do it. And no, you don't split the VLANs to do the firewalls. This is not load balancing between firewalls. This is failover. So when you do failover, the idea is it is in a master and backup state. So this one should be in backup. Yes, this one's in backup. And if you lose a port between these, if they stop communicating with each other, then it will fail over. But not until then. So this firewall is just hanging out. The second firewall doesn't do anything but keep all the state tables in sync, keep all the IPs in sync. It keeps all the virtual IPs, all the configuration setting. That's HA as in for failover, not load balance. Load balance is something completely different. First time watching a stream, how overkill would an AMD Athlon 200G AS rock? I don't know why you would build that for a pfSense machine. This machine here is capable of 10 gig. And let's look at the processors on it. So let's talk about that. Just sidetrack for a second though. If you can, what do we have here? We have an Atom CPU that can route at 10 gig. Think about that a second. I mean, if you want to waste your money and do it, I don't know what you're going to do with it. I say waste your money. I mean, yes, you would be able to do, this is the only time you do need processor. If you wanted to run high levels of packet capture and send them somewhere, or something that pushes a lot of data around like that, packet capture or a lot of Suricata. If you're trying to do Suricata and all the rules, this can handle Suricata. This may start slowing down with a lot of people, a lot of streams, and a lot of Suricata picking apart those streams. So, yeah, that's a whole different side to do it like that. So, yeah, you can, these do BGP, but this isn't a BGP setup. This is a CARP setup. So I see you're saying the Cisco's can do BGP. You're right, but this is all about CARP. So this is all about setting up the CARP and the failover. That's why you go here to status CARP failover. And if you're not familiar with CARP, like I said, I have a whole video that I dive in detail. And the Common Address Redundancy Protocol is a computer networking protocol which allows multiple hosts on the same local area network to share a set of IP addresses. CARP provides functionality similar to VRRP. So if you're in the Cisco's world, it's HSRP. It's the same thing. It's very similar to VRP. It's very similar to HSRP. So it's very similar system to both of those. And it's how the pfSense, because CARP is popular in the BSD world, so it's the protocol they use. It's solid. It works really well. It's pretty trouble-free. So would you have the Cisco and HSRP? Yeah, I see people asking a question there. But back to this. So the whole setup process, like they call in, they come in, the consulting, we do give people the option. It's not like we tell them what we give suggestions on hardware, and we give them the choice whether or not they want to buy the hard from us, or they can buy it direct. I'm fine with that. People who start trying to haggle me on price, going, I want the best deal. I said, no problem, don't buy it from me. That's like my very typical, people have said I'm a smartass about it, but it's not that I plan on being a smartass. It's one of those, that's the thing. Like, I'm not going to be beat up on price. Hardware is really a race to zero margin. And I already know there's always somebody that will sell it to you cheaper than I will. There's always someone who's willing to make a penny on it as opposed to $1. That's fine. That's not my game I play. That's just not where we make money. The more the money in this whole project is all about the labor and leveraging the knowledge we have to set all this up and do all this configuration and build out this whole network for a client. That's where all of the margin is. That has nothing to do with, you know, in my opinion, I mean, it's the hardware is kind of this, especially if you're not the manufacturer of the hardware, it becomes very, very difficult to make money at it because you are not in control of the product. You're relying on someone else's product, and that someone else who supplies you the product can make the decision to sell directly and cut you out as a middle person. And this does happen in a market, and you don't have any control over it. That's one of the reasons I always talk about hardware being the race to zero margin. Unless you're the manufacturer where you can control some of the costs and things like that. And it's not that you can't make money in that market. I've made money over the years in that market, especially when I was younger. We hustled tons of PC hardware. I used to do the computer trade shows long before you could buy things online back in the 90s. That's when I got started doing this. I was hustling stuff on the weekends doing trade shows. So whole different things. Have we had customers that need over 10 gig? Only data center customers. We don't generally in the business sector see it as much. There are companies that do it, but for the most part, they're not a lot. It's pretty infrequent that we see people over there. And some of them will just do bonded to a couple different 10 gig SFP pluses. I have one client I've seen that with, but it's rare. It's just not that many people have that pipe of internet going in there, unless you're in a data center. Data center is a whole other animal. How many we need of those ubiquities? It's 140 kVM. I don't know what kVM is. Standard brick wall, but how many is hard? Standard brick absorbs Wi-Fi more than some other things, so you kind of have to buy one and figure out where you're going to need the next one. And you can make money with hardware with Cisco. Cisco has been busted more than once undercutting their own vendors, so they didn't lose a sale. There's a whole thread you can find under Reddit RMSP about the Meraki incident where Meraki cut out the commission of the MSP so they could keep the renewals going. Whatever. I mean, any of these companies can do that. Matter of fact, people used to call it open season when I think it was SonicWall did this for a little while. SonicWall decided they were going to undercut everybody as well and kind of undercut some of their vendors. This happened a few years ago. I'm very whatever about it because I don't trust any of those vendors. You can argue they're unscrupulous or whatever. Yeah, it happens. Some executive will make a decision at those companies. I don't trust any of them. That's just no matter who they are. That's one of the reasons I'm not even a reseller for pfSense. There's not really a need to be. A lot of times people buy them and we configure stuff. That's perfectly fine for me. So. Hey, Ian, thanks for you started your company this summer. Awesome. Congratulations. Yeah, switching over to 100 gig. See, in a data center, you see 100 gig and things like that. You see the big stuff in a data center. You don't usually see it at the businesses. Even in the larger companies, they don't have it that often. Even the school districts aren't using that. The school district has like only a 700 meg connection at each one of their 700 or 600 meg. It's not even a full 1 gig they're getting at the schools that we've been working with. So, and obviously they have a pretty high demand on it. But we did all the planning. This gets all boxed back up. We do all the testing. And that's, I was going to start vlog theories earlier, but none of this is finished until every test. So me and Eric, we're testing every step of this. We create networks. We create the VLANs. We reassign ports to all the VLANs and everything else. So it's just one of those whole procedure things that we do to make sure everything works top to bottom. That is an absolute important part of the way we do this. So that's how all that went, and I'll close these because there's not much more. If I do a video tomorrow about it, if I have time, because I got a lot of appointments tomorrow to fix a few things for customers and just if I get in early enough is the way I should say it. You know, someone has asked me, like, what's a typical day look like for Tom? And there's not exactly a typical day. Maybe I'll try to video some of what goes on, but like every day is kind of me hopping around between things, because that's what fits me. That's what suits me. That makes me happy. I don't like consistently doing the same things all the time. That just doesn't make me as happy as I should say. We'll zoom in. You can see all the little labels on there. And literally, it's just blue tape on the back of them. Nothing big deal there. Hey, look, it's my laptop. I used to program all this. And there's all these little, they're all fiber. When this is all done, each one of these is going in a different IDF room and has a fiber connection to each one. So there's that. How many hours a day I work? Today I got here at 7:30. So today is a 14 hour day. If I leave by 9:30, it's a 14-hour day. It kind of varies. So that's today, but like the other day, my son says, I want to go get a pizza, and I said yeah, and I left at 2 because all of my stuff was caught up. Like I had nothing specific I had to do, no appointments. So sometimes I just leave. And so I prefer to work a lot because it's just what I want to do, but I can walk away from it. I have gaps I leave because hanging out with my son or whatever is fun. I think my daughter showed up at last vlog Thursday. Forget what she wanted. Money or something. I don't know. She just gotten back from vacation. So it's kind of mixed bag of how much I work. It's and I don't always feel that everything I'm doing is work, because sometimes, well, there's some good and bad. I have my whole video of quitting your job. I hate my job is not a business plan. I did that. And we're actually trying this Tuesday. A few of my entrepreneur friends who've seen that video are stopping by my office. We're going to hang out and BS about life, and then we're going to come up with some questions and Q&A and do a video about it and post it, talking about living that entrepreneur life. And all of us have businesses in different categories. These aren't tech friends. One does work in tech, but one of them has a branding marketing company, and my other friend owns a salon. So that's going to be kind of interesting. To have all of us on there, and we're going to talk about business and business life and stuff like that. But there's ups and downs to it. I mean, sometimes the good is I can leave at 2 and say I'm done for the day, but you do have to keep the ball rolling. You can get business owners, and I've watched this happen so many times. They take their eye off the ball, as you know, to use a baseball reference. That I don't really know why I use that reference that much because I'm not a sports fan, but you know, someone will take their eye off the prize, or just basically not pay enough attention to the business, get too much into that relaxed life, or pull too much money out doing things, and the business falls apart, and before they can even correct all the problems that have been created by mismanagement or unmanaged systems, the business is out of business before they can swing it around. I've watched a lot of people over the years lose their business from exactly that. Some of my clients, we have a lot of clients went out of business over the years, and these are things that happened. There are what UniFi has outdoor rated ones. For those of you asking about Ryan Johnson, what would be a UniFi recommendation for outdoor? Get the outdoor UniFis. They work great. Matter of fact, if you can see in the bottom corner of this, there are 1, 2, and 3 outdoor UniFis in this stack. All right. Do you run their own fiber or contract it out? We're not running fiber for this one. We do run fiber. This one's in Texas, and we're not flying down to install. They have their own installer. So if you're asking about this job, it's getting contracted out. But yeah, we'll pull fiber. How do you grow at first? We've had 2 clients since I was 19. But since I was young, stupid when I started, didn't change them a lot. That's the hardest part. I have a few videos. Just type in clients on a YouTube channel search, and you'll find me going in depth about client acquisition, going to events and how we do things. You're going to see there's some longer videos because I kind of go in depth about it, but that's all there is to it. There's not any easy way to talk about it. We're going to move this over here so we can read together, because I don't know what else I have to show you. Make myself bigger. There we go. Reading your comments and concerns and talking about things. What else we have? Any suggestions on project management software for IT? Not really. I use spreadsheets. They work great. I think people overthink it. We've done jobs that were close to $200,000 with just a couple spreadsheets, and they got done. I don't know at what point. I mean, I guess if you're building something bigger than that, maybe there is a point where you need this incredibly complicated project management software, but no software is good if it's got bad input. If you don't have good process and procedures to do things, software doesn't fix it. It does try to narrow you down to things, but it's one of those things I think people put too much faith in, that software will solve all the things. It comes down to process, procedure, training, and knowing all the variables. And project management software may be a good place to put that, but throwing together a Gantt chart and a list of tasks inside of a spreadsheet, I've actually found to work really well. Let's see what else we have here. Yeah, well, owning a business full-time is a lot of work. Someone's right there. Which rate cards are using in the SCP&G Freelance R710s? I don't have FreeNAS on those, and I don't remember what rate card's in, but I think they're the 7 series because I'm not using it in IT mode. The HBA card is handling the R710s. Yes, small ubiquities work with mesh. That's correct. Let's see what else we got here. Make sure I'm caught up with all your comments. Been using PERC H700 controller with 512. I think that's what's in my R710 is those PERC H700s. Whatever the R710, the nicer ones, I think that's what's in there. Let's see. Do I walk around with a pole? Yes, actually, sometimes I do. I will wander around and set them places where we think they want to do. So that's actually something I do frequently. Is like we take them out there. I still got to do a video on the library project we did, and a lot of that is because the project was mostly us just setting them places to figure out where they would work. So that's actually the really big project of it, was just planning by putting, and by that is how we did the bid that won the contract to get it all done. So no, I don't usually put the UBNT on a separate VLAN. I usually put all the servers on the native VLAN and then segment out all the other networks to other VLANs. So that is my general process for doing it. It works well for me. It hasn't been a problem. So I know there's other ways you could do it where you create a separate VLAN for all the different devices, where you put the devices in their own VLAN. But I prefer the native. That way, when we trunk everything to all, they can just be in there. It also makes it easier when occasionally you have a dumb switch to put a couple things in there. It just makes sense. So it works out pretty well doing that. Let's see here. Yeah, Chris has one of those mounts, the kind of cool things. There's different ways to do it. Those mounts work. I thought it's kind of neat that he had that. I should reach out to that company. Maybe they'll send me a free one. Because something I want to share with everyone, though. Let me go back here. So I posted a couple Tesla videos, right? And I got a couple more I'm going to do for my channel. But one of the things I learned very quickly, and I'm going to do a video about this, is the whole influencer marketing thing. So I do a couple of videos on Tesla, and whammo, all these companies want to send me free crap, and which is kind of cool. They want to sponsor things, blah, blah, blah. Matter of fact, I got to put this on. I did get the same thing as Chris got. So this is the Tesla carbon fiber stuff. The cool little things, and it's needed, so yeah. But yeah, it's funny that how much crap they sent. So I thought about diving into this in a video, because I've had a few people asking, and it's nothing I'm trying to hide at all. But you know, the free crap you get as a YouTuber as you get bigger, and also how much do you make doing all this with all the affiliates, and why do we push this or that, or branded and sponsors and everything else. So I will be doing some videos talking about that. I'm always very open about how everything works. I don't think it should be a secret. That always bothered me, that people who think everything should be a secret. So back to the other questions in here. What do we have here? My Ryzen is outstanding. We're watching it do very little right now. So this is what it looks like. It's mostly running Chrome. Make my smaller over here. It's mostly running Chrome right now because that's pretty much what the computers do. So this is what it looks like with all the cores and everything running. Here's OBS doing something. OBS actually takes some processing power. That's mostly why it's doing that. And then here's all the other services that are running. I'm using 8 out of the 32 gigs available in this. Yeah, YouTube, how much it pays out is super confusing. And I say confusing because the thing is, the way it pays out is very different based on who watches a video, what location you're in, what geography they're in. So there's not even a rule of thumb anymore at all when it comes to YouTube payouts. It's like, if it's in this region, it has this payout, blah, 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 blah. It's one of those really confusing things. So I can give you overall numbers what I make from YouTube, but it's not like that's across a single video at all, and there's not even a good thumb. So there's a couple people that actually did a good job, and when I put this all together, I'm gonna cite all my references on there. But one of the things they pointed out was they have 2 different videos. One has 1 million views, another one has like 500,000 views, but the 500,000 view video paid like 10 times what the 1 million view video paid because of where it was viewed was a better ad rate for that particular video. So it's kind of really complicated all at the same time. So someone asked about an inexpensive switch. UniFi is probably one of the cheaper ones out there, if not that TP-Link. I reviewed that TP-Link one. Super basic, but it'll get the job done if you're just wanting to deal with the most basic interface with very few features, but works. That TP-Link is a winner. We've used them. Well, I don't have any client deployments with them. We actually just use it around the shop when we're setting things up a couple times because we wanted to play with something like that. So, but I don't think I have. I may have a client or two with it. Maybe that's where I found it. Sometimes those are things that are hard to forget or hard to remember. I mean, I try to remember everything, but there's some limitations I seem to have with that. And we have right now, so in our system, we have a split of businesses, and I know we have about 300 or 400 businesses in our system that we do some level of IT work for, either on an ongoing basis or on a one-off basis. So we see a lot of equipment. We see a lot of different varieties of things across clients. You know, we don't have as many people on manage as 300. I wish we did. We're working on it. But then when it comes to the retail, which kind of crosses over, we have another 6,000 clients in the retail that kind of come and go. So yeah, it's kind of hard to remember everything that's all over the place. So yeah, I have a video comparing the UniFi AP's coverage and speed. The challenge is your area will be different all the time. Each area is different when it comes to Wi-Fi. I've talked about Wi-Fi planning. Even I've seen people pay for expensive site maps, and matter of fact, they were impressed at the library because the last people came in there, did a site map, and did the whole Wi-Fi thing, charged them a lot of money for it, and then installed it, and they still had gaps. And they said there wouldn't be gaps. So they came out and moved them, and they still had gaps. And they finally just didn't want to spend any more money with the company and waited a couple of years, called us, and we went in there and got rid of the gaps by actually bringing them. And they said they liked our method better of just bringing Wi-Fi units, setting them up, and testing if they could get the Wi-Fi to work standing in the corners that they wanted a Wi-Fi in. How many people do I currently employ? Now, I have employees and contractors, but there's 7 employees, and everybody else is contractors. So that's there's not that many people here. It doesn't take that many people to run the day-to-day operations, but I use contractors on a lot, actually. I actually have my friend's company. We're contracting out a big project right now. We're bidding. I play middleman in a lot of this, sometimes in project design, but I don't have enough people to get something done. So what we end up doing is that's why you have you like your trusted list of contractors to get things done. I think a lot of people skip over that, and I'm like, you don't realize the value you can still create. So if you have the clientele and you're able to manage the project and you know who to call to get it done, I can just broker deals at that point. And you just, it takes time to build your list of trusted contractors, but it's an important aspect of running a business. It's a huge win for everyone involved. They're happy to get business from you. And there's always someone, well, I'm worried they're going to steal from me. Well, whatever, then don't do it. I very much have that attitude. Have I ever had a contractor steal? Oddly, no. I've actually only had employees steal who tried to start their business off of mine. That's happened twice to me. 0 contractors ever have tried to steal from me. They've always been upfront and honest. Obviously, you could probably find a shady one, and I probably had good luck with all of them. But I have had 2 employees, but this is over 16 years in business, by the way. So even my employee stats are really, really low. To be in business for 16 years and can name two in 16 years that I've had that have actually directly tried stealing from me. And they were just trying to take clients. They weren't taking stuff. They were stealing clients and trying to get them paid directly. Have you ever set the same subnet on servers over VPN like IPsec? I don't do that. You want different networks so you can route between them because it makes your life easier. Yeah, I see a lot of people leaving the default password. That's funny. Any idea on Ubiquiti AD or AX tech coming? I don't have any idea at all. Programming, we don't really do any programming. That's outside of it. I will refer programming. I don't even broker the deals usually. That'll be something if someone says, hey, I need this really cool application. Cool. I will find someone. I know people in the market. One of my friends is entrepreneur friends. I refer things out to them. I'll qualify a lead. I'm not even asking for a spiff. I usually just pass it on to them for the work. WireGuard, WireGuard's cool, but until it becomes mainstream and a lot of things support it, I won't do a video on it. It's too niche right now. It's too beta. It's eventually going to make its way into the BSD and eventually make its way into pfSense, but when it does, I will. But until it becomes mainstream, I'm not going to bother with it. So, yeah, Shodan has a lot of devices with default passwords. That's a thing. That's a thing for sure. There's so many devices with the default passwords. It's ridiculous. WireGuard is the future? Yeah, maybe. I like everything about it. But its availability kind of sucks. It's not default. Now it's going to be defaulted into the Linux kernel. They have some licensing disputes to work out, I think, with the BSD world. But until it becomes a more popular thing, here's the problem with it. I mean, hey, WireGuard's cool, but then you go, all right, we need to deploy it on all these phones. Oh, OpenVPN's easier, or OpenVPN's easier on these laptops and things like that because it's all integrated. It's well written. It's well documented. So it's going to be OpenVPN for a while. OpenVPN's also one of those ain't broke, don't fix it. It's not as fast as WireGuard. You got me dead to rights on that. But it's deployed. It's stable. It's secure. It's went through code review. Those are all reasons to keep using it. WireGuard, I don't know what its status is of code review. I just don't know. Maybe it has been reviewed, but OpenVPN has gone through 2 separate companies going through code review. That's huge. That's an important aspect when you look at things in the enterprise market at all. Even the smaller markets like I'm dealing in, code review is huge. If that is until something has gone through that, I wouldn't even consider using it because you're talking about, VPNs into major companies and stuff like that. And the big markets are slow to switch because of that. This is what took a long time for even OpenVPN to take a foothold over IPsec and other stuff, is because it took a long time before people really started trusting it. There's a lot that has to be done to make sure this is very secure over time. Look at the failure of Microsoft's PPTP protocol. It's probably still in use by a lot of people, but it's been found insecure and there's no more patches. It's just like finally pushed away. So, and I know there's still as I understand, WireGuard is still buggy in the Windows stack. They're getting better at it, but it's still not there yet. And you obviously can't, in the enterprise market, deploy things that are buggy. How do you handle or prevent scope creep on a job? You don't. It happens. It's constant. You see it happening, you get ahead of it, you tell the client, this is going out of scope. That's the only way to deal with it. You can't beat around the bush, to use another term. You can't talk around it. You have to just nail it on the head. I get snippy a little bit with clients. I'm not smart ass, but I say things very directly to them. One of them today was, hey, we've been having this problem for a week. I said, yeah. And they're staring at me and I'm like, you told me about it this morning because I was there in the afternoon, and they were complaining about how long it took for us to get there. And all my techs were busy. It was down the street. So I went myself to go look at the problem. And I'm like, this problem to us is only 6 hours old because 6 hours ago you told me about it. And they go, well, it's been a week. I said, but you don't want to pay for monitoring. So how do you want me to find a problem? These are those things. You just got to be very direct and tell them that like this right away. That's what really helps with anything like scope creep. Be very direct. You don't have to be rude. You don't want to be a smart ass. You just say, look, this is out of scope. This is out of spec. We only did this. This is a billable action. We have we're dealing with a company right now that made a mess of things, and by waiting to the last minute to switch over mail servers. I don't know. They knew about it for 6 months before they called us and said they have 4 days. Way out of scope, even though they're a managed client. And they're upset because they're like, we're doubling up the hours on it. Like, yeah, we had to put a few of us on this task to get your email switched over in a matter of days and copy out of all your old mailboxes. But, we were very direct of what we originally quoted when we talked to them 6 months ago and what it costs now. And because of the pressure and the emergency. So, yeah. Let's see. I have networks on 10x and some on a 172. Do you prefer one or other? No, all depends on whatever you want to do. I do this, and I have a video where I talk about splitting networks. I do like to split them. Like I put the guest on a 172 range or a 192 range in the business network on the 10 range, or vice versa. I only do that to make it really clear when you have a lot of guests on a network. This particular network is going to be sustaining up to over 500 guests. All the noise will be in a completely different subnet, not like a one-off octet, which I know is logically separated in terms of rules, but a completely separate prefix, allowing us to quickly identify guest traffic versus anything else if you were ever doing any type of filtering. Just that's the only reason I split them like that. XCP&G is cool, but it doesn't seem to have a lot of traction. I thought it would. Do you think it will take off or always be an alternative? I guess it depends on where you look. If you are in the data center world, it's all over the place. We've got some consulting we've done with a lot of big companies using it. If you spend some time in the forums, you'll see people have this deployed at large scale. It's huge in the hosting market. It's not big in the small business market. So it's actually weird. It's at the higher levels of enterprise data centers. It's all over the place. It's in huge use because it's been replacing Citrix. So they have a massive deployment, but it's not a household name, so to speak, as VMware or Hyper-V is in terms of hypervisors. So will it take off? I think it's taken off pretty well. If you looked at their Kickstarter, you get an idea of just how well it's taken off. It's huge. You look at their forums or anything else related to them, and we'll pull up their, I haven't been to their site in a little while. Maybe anything interesting I took a picture of? Nope, that's all messy stuff. Let's go to their, so they're up to over 30,000 downloads, 10,000 forum posts, and 1,700 forum contributors. It's not small. They have a big user base. 30,000 downloads. I know that's not typical of exactly counting the installs, but you kind of get the idea. There's been a lot of people downloading this. That's still pretty big. Let's see. You should try XCP8, supports CFI, boot, USB, pass-through. Yeah, I have 8. It's great. I haven't had a chance to do a video on it, but yes, that's where we're going with it. Version 8. It's free. Keep upgrading. What kind of restrictions? I mean, you can restrict things on pfSense, but it doesn't have layer 7 filtering. That's not part of it. So I work for a Fortune 5, and when you get these big organizations with legal stuff, XP, other free stuff besides Linux, nowhere to be found. That's not always true. It's just maybe true at where you work. So I pointed this out, actually, if you want something interesting. So what we got here? Business IBM. I have so many videos, sometimes it's hard to remember things. There we go. And I'm going to jump to the part of this video where we talk about this. All you have to do is, let's find, if I can find the one ZipRecruiter one. Oh, here we go. So one of the things I point out in this video, whoops, went over to the wrong spot. So you look at some of these companies, and one of them I covered in here. You know, I'll just drop the video for you guys to watch later. Whatever. But I talk about how you can go over to like ZipRecruiter, and you can see these companies, including MasterCard, Visa, are using pfSense. How do you know? None of these companies declare they're using it. You know because you can go on ZipRecruiter and you can look for companies that are hiring for that. And you see company names like MasterCard needs a pfSense expert. I wonder why they would need a pfSense expert. Perhaps because I know they're using it. So we have done, you guys are going to hear all this at once. I'll be home by 9:30. That means I'm stopping the vlog here in 7 minutes because that's me telling my wife I'll be home by 9:30. But anyways, these large companies are using it. It's massively used. It may not be used in the enterprise company you specifically work for, but trust me, this stuff is being used in enterprise. We've done consulting with very large firms here in Detroit that maybe are publicly traded, that I'm under NDA to talk about everything we installed or at least consulted on with their teams. But yeah, they're in use. They're just not advertised as much. And of course, not everybody talks about it as much. So definitely they're used. They're definitely out there. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of open source, and it's even more so, more than ever. We're seeing more companies trust this over some of the alternatives because of problems that some of these other companies have had. Do I have a preferred product? There is a preferred UPS product that I can't remember. Maybe I should do a video about them, but I think it's the Eaton and another one. I don't order them, my staff does, so I know they have the ones they like, and we put them in. I don't know which ones they are. I don't think enough about that. I deal with some of the different aspects of the job, but I may not price out the UPSs. Steve does that. Let's see. Great channel, 10 gig iSCSI, Ether, or 10 gig fiber. Ether, unless you are going long distances, why would you use fiber? So OpenSense. The thing about OpenSense for pfSense, and I'm going to do a video, so I'm just going to drop the video. It's going to be called pfSense versus OpenSense. OpenSense is cool, but they patch too much. I have too many customers to maintain to babysit patches all the time. I just don't have time for that. I got things to do. And they're patches because they're trying to add features real quick. Yay for features, but that's fun when I'm a hobbyist playing because I like bleeding edge features. That's not fun when I'm a business owner who has to keep clients up to date because now I suddenly have an agreement to keep their switches up to date and I'm updating them every 2 weeks. That sounds, that's a scale problem. Yes, I don't have any fiber termination videos. Sorry on that. Maybe one day. That's far down the road. We have a bunch of tool videos we want to do, but none on that. South Shore of Erie, SolarWinds EDR. I looked at the SolarWinds EDR. Yeah, it's okay. I don't think SentinelOne's a bad product, but yeah. So RAID control HTTP mode, do you flash yourself? Nope, they will ship it to you from Tech Supply Direct. I'm going to make a video on that particular aspect of it. To make sure to talk about like how to purchase to make sure the right one. That's a video upcoming. I have some questions out for them that I'm waiting to find out to make sure that when the ordering process is through, is there a checkbox they can do, or if they can even add a checkbox to their website for it. FreeBSD security patches might be a problem with pfSense. I don't think they're a problem. You can, matter of fact, so here's an example of what happened. When you have like a problem like there was in the Nginx server that did affect FreeBSD, Nginx, and pfSense, who uses those two tools together. You could do the package update. You can just package update Nginx and update that package, and that's it. Away you go. So there wasn't really anything on there. Yes, Art of Server has a thing on flashing it, but you don't always need to flash it. So check to make sure it has the need to be flashed before you flash it. But yes, Art of Server does have that. Oh no, they keep the kernel up to date. So when the pfSense folks do keep all that up to date, so you're good. Any other questions? What else do I even have in the title here? Because I am going to leave here in a couple minutes. 222 people. Awesome. Love it. I'm so happy some of you are here. Maybe I should do some of these late night ones more often. Hit the like button too. While you're all here, before you all disappear, press the like button for me. That helps a lot. I've been saying that. I didn't realize this comes from me hanging out and talking to a few other people in unrelated YouTube categories. But yeah, wow. Like when I asked people to do it and they started doing it, major difference in how many views those videos got. That helps a lot. So if anyone does have the second to click the like button, now I realize why people say it. It sounds so stupid to say it, but YouTube is just, they're really goofy how it works. It really does make a difference on these little silly algorithm things, and they're also kind of mysterious on how they work. There's actually some interesting things floating around right now about YouTube, keywords not to use. There are going to be a bunch of court depositions. I'm not as affected by that. Matter of fact, one of the blogs I belong to, hey, thank you, Ian, awesome. Some of them Canadian dollars, thank you. Love it. So, anyways, the algorithm doesn't affect me as much because I'm doing tech videos, but if you're doing anything controversial or anything news or topical, political or whatever, then you're definitely going to get caught up in the different algorithms, and it's a big challenge that I'm not going to go into. So that is certainly a problem that YouTube has and faces. But the other things that do affect me is clicking the like button, and woohoo, 75 likes, love it. And thank you. I love all I see the chat revenue over here, so I like when people throw some money at me. It is much appreciated. Yeah. Don't talk about stuff that'll get demonetized. So, yeah. That's definitely. It's one of those things, and it's not that YouTube is ever trying to censor anything. The reality is they are beholden to the advertisers. They are dictated by the advertisers. So. That is what really drives the whole system of how all that works. It's more than anything else. It's all about that. So, all right, 83 likes. Look at this. Look at this coming up. I love it. This is what I see on the other screen. I'll share it with everyone here. It says chat revenue $37. I do like them Canadian dollars, but they're apparently not equal to the US dollars right now. 86 likes. We're getting up there. And it shows me there's currently 224 of you. Also, all of you, the how they got hacked is tomorrow. We're recording. Yeah, I do have to leave. Get in trouble with wife. Me and Xavier, we're going to have a lot of talked about with Mo. Xavier spent some time at DEF CON. He's like super, super excited. So expect like an over the top excited Xavier for how they got hacked. We didn't do it in 2 weeks, so there's even more hacks to talk about. So it's going to be busy. It's going to be fun. I'm excited about it. Oh, is there anything I don't like about the new Ryzen setup? Not at all. I have had, this is a very trouble-free setup. My only unrelated to Ryzen at all complaint is the fact that I haven't expanded my encrypted LVM. I haven't really dug into that because I've been, busy. How they got hacked will be live between 7:30 and 8. Xavier didn't give me a time yet, but yes, that's happening. So that's definitely going to be a thing. And I think that's all I have for today. I'm actually pretty tired. It is now officially 14 hours that I've left the building because I had meetings, but I have been working nonstop for 14 hours. So, oh man. Yeah, my Friday night is planned. We're recording with how they got hacked. That's fun. I love doing this stuff too. So I like sharing with the community and interacting with people and all that fun stuff. It's everything's great. But anyways, thank you very much. Oh, by the way, I will admit, one of the direct effects that I've seen that made me really, do I get burned out? Yeah, I can. There's things that burn me out. I think I've done a video on it. If not, I will be doing a video on burnout. I will talk about that at some point in time. It's going to be a topic that comes up when we do our entrepreneur talk. It's a real problem. There's times when it gets really stuff, but there's ways to mitigate it. I'll be talking about that. That's something I think hugely important. And if you feel you're getting burned out, seek help. There's resources out there. I've been trying to make some lists and things like that, but having, some of the right, and it's hard to find some good friends in that. And that's a whole different topic before I'll ramble on about a long time, but yeah. Join us tomorrow at How They Get Hacked. Join the forums, which I know I have today not spent much time in the forums. I will go home, watch TV, and I wake up every morning at about 5 a.m. and I'm going to be in the forums. I have a few people that posted today that I didn't reply to. I'm good about keeping up with all that. So yeah, tonight's I'm going to go crash. I'm going to go have a beer. But my enthusiasm is what wakes me up every morning at 5 a.m. doing this again. So I do, like I said, get burned out, but I'm also very enthusiastic about my job. So that's absolutely a thing. Several of the YouTube gurus are willing to take emails from you if you get burned out. Interesting. I never reach out to other YouTubers about burnout, really. I talk and hang out with other entrepreneurs. I mean, my meeting today was with another, so to speak, competing, but we're going to be sharing business with each other, IT, MSP company that's kind of in the area. I'm building another partnership with them on sharing work, back to using more contractors. They have some need for our specialties, and we're going to see where there's gaps and where there's overlaps and how we can help each other. But it's also the guy that owns it. The first time I've ever met any of his employees was today. Me and him have hung out at the bar and BS'd and, talked about life challenges and business owning challenges. So, it's good to have people like that. That's the network that's super hard to build, but super valuable at the same time. Yep, I'm out of here. I got 6 minutes to get home, but I only live 3 miles away, and my car has a 0 to 60 time of about 4 seconds. So, oh, do we have training on site? Yeah, we train. I offer staff training. I pay for training for them. I am huge into, if they ask me for training, they always get it. So that's definitely a thing. But I'm going to go. I already pulled my car around front because it charges here and I charge it. So thank you for all 224 of you. Well, there's only 210 now, but 224 of you that were here. Thank you for showing up, and awesome. Yeah, I got 4 minutes to get home now. So the timer is counting down. Thanks, and see you guys next time.